Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Bienvenidos otra vez a mi canal. Today we're going to be talking about boot verbs, also known as stem changing verbs, sometimes they call them. So why don't we go ahead and look at the board here. So a boot verb is a verb that has a spelling change in the stem. You can read through this if you want. Go ahead and pause it and read through it. But basically, what we're going to do is have a spelling change. So these are the boot verb spelling changes. Sometimes you have verbs where there's an E in the root of the verb that turns into an IE. An example of that would be querer, which means to want. Quiero means I want. Quiero. And so notice that querer has an E right here. Well, that E right here turns into an IE. And it also turns into an IE right here, as well as right here, and also right here. And so if you outline those, I'm sorry, let me do it straighter. If you outline those, it looks like a boot. And so that's why they call them stem changing boot verbs, because they look like a boot. So quiero, quieres, quiere, quieren. I want, you want, he or she wants, they want, or you guys want, ustedes. Same thing with pensar. You have an IE, an IE, an IE, and an IE. I think, pienso, yo pienso. And once again, if you outline them, it looks like a boot. All right, so that takes care of the E to IE verbs. Well, I mean, for the examples, there's a lot more, trust me. And then now let's look at the O to UE. So here's our O to UE examples that I've put on the board here. Like volver means to return, poder means to be able, and dormir means to sleep. So if I want to say like I return, I say yo vuelvo. Or if you return, tú vuelves. Or if he or she returns, I might say él vuelve en 10 minutos. He returns in 10 minutes. Puedo. I can. I am able to. You can just say can in English. You say I can. Yo puedo. Tú puedes. Él puede. Nosotros podemos. If you're in Spain, you would say vosotros podéis. And if you're in Latin America, you would say ustedes pueden. And so we're just following this format. One thing I want to point out is the endings still match regular endings. So these are regular ARERIR verb endings. If you remember how this works, these line up with these endings. So let's look at querer actually, and I'll change my color here. So querer is an ER verb because it's querer, right? So it's an ER verb. And so we're going to use these ER endings right here. And so since we have the yo form, it'll end with an O. We know it's the yo form because it's yo up here in this format. This is our master format. If you need to review these endings, I recommend going back and watching my first video that talks about just regular verbs. It talks about these subject pronouns. I'm hoping you guys know these by now, but it's yo means I, tú means you, él, he, ella, she, usted, you, formal, nosotros means we, vosotros means you guys if you're in Spain, and ustedes means you guys if you're in Latin America. Ellos and ellas mean they, but ellas is only used if they are all females. So back to this, because it's the yo form, it's the upper left-hand corner, we know that we use this ending, which gives us this ending right here. Quiero, 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 I want. Or quieres, you want, right? So anyway, the same thing with all these. If you outline the conjugations that get the spelling change, the O turning into a UE in this case, then it looks like a boot. Same thing with poder, to be able to. I can, yo puedo, tú puedes, you can. All right. Same thing with duermo. Duermes, duerme, duermen. You also notice that the nosotros form is left out. Dormimos, podemos, volvemos. These ones will match the infinitive form of the verb, or in other words, the unconjugated form of the verb. Volver, volvemos, volvéis. Poder, podemos, podéis. Dormir, dormimos, dormís. Jugar is a U to UE verb. It's the only one that exists. And so this one is the only one, but you have a U turning into a UE. To play. I play. Juego. Juego. You play. Tú juegas. She plays. Ella juega. Ellos juegan. They play. Jugamos. Jugar, jugamos, jugáis. Vestir, vestimos, vestís. Servir. Okay, so these ones are E to I. This is the last one. These are very uncommon. And so the E to I, now you just have an E turning into an I, and that's it. But it still looks like a boot, and so it's called a boot verb. Just like that. Visto, vistes, viste, visten. And same thing with servir. Sirvo, sirve, sirve, sirven. All right, so that's how they work, and there's a lot more of those. Here's some other examples. So you have other E to IE examples and other O to UE examples. And there's a few more E to IE to just an I example, these examples here. Seguir, repetir, pedir, reírse. This is technically a reflexive verb, as a lot of these are. We will talk about reflexive verbs in a different video. And when I make that video, I'll go back and put a link here somewhere so that you guys can get to it easier. But I haven't made that as of right now. So these are all boot verbs. And you'll notice that it says right here, acertar, you have the E turning into an IE. So you know it's a boot verb. Now, when people are talking, they're not going to tell you it's a boot verb. But when you write down your flashcards, you want to take note if the verb that you're learning is a boot verb or not. And I will include a link for the flashcards in the description or below in the comments. Okay, now let's go ahead and do an exercise. So I'm leaving the endings right here. Right here we have nosotros comenzar. Well, comenzar, it has an E. That E, what do you think it's going to turn into? Well, it's going to turn into an IE. Here's comenzar right here. Comenzar. E turns into IE. And so we have to think about who's doing it. Nosotros comenzar. So if it's nosotros, it's an AR verb. That means we have to use this ending right there. Comenzar, comenzamos. Nosotros comenzamos el jueves. So we get nosotros comenzamos el jueves. All right, and then what's this next one going to be? ¿Cuánto costar este carro? How much does this car cost? Nosotros. Oh, sorry. So yeah, ¿cuánto cuesta? This is going to be an O turned into a UE. So now we have ¿cuánto cuesta este carro? And number 3, tú querer jugar conmigo? Do you want to play with me? Tú quieres. ¿Tú quieres jugar conmigo? ¿Tú quieres jugar conmigo? And then the next one. Yo dormir muy bien. Yo dormir muy bien. I sleep very well. Yo duermo muy bien. Tú nunca cerrar la puerta. You never close the door. Tú nunca cerrar la puerta. Well, it's in the to form, so it's an AR verb, so it has to be an AS because tú is the middle one on the left. AS right here. Tú nunca cierras. The E turns into an IE. It's a boot verb. All of these are boot verbs. And then it says Samuel y Manuel no seguir las instrucciones. So Samuel y Manuel, that means Samuel and Manuel. And so that has to be ellos, they. Also, seguir is one of the few E to IE verbs. Seguir, E to IE. There's not very many of them. So when you see one, remember that the E turns into an I. Seguir, siguen. For the conjugations that are in the boot. The ones that are out of the boot stay the same as the infinitive. And then the next one, why does it snow so much in the winter? ¿Por qué nevar means to snow? ¿Por qué? Why? Nevar, to snow, mucho, much, en el invierno, in the winter. ¿Por qué nieva? It's an E to IE verb. Nevar, nieva. Why does it? And that's why I have the word it here, because sometimes there's a thing that does the verb, like to snow. Why does it snow? There's not a person doing it. And so we have to refer to the subject as it in English. In Spanish, we simply leave it out. ¿Por qué nieva mucho en el invierno? It's implied that it's the third person singular. Nieva. All right, now we have yo defender la verdad. I defend the truth. What do I have to do with defender? This is going to be an E to an IE verb. Defiendo la verdad. Somebody once asked me, how do you know which E turns to an IE? Well, as far as I've ever seen, it's always the one closer to the verb ending. So defiendo, defien. It's always the second one. If there's two E's, it'll be the one closer to the verb ending. Defiendo. If you guys can think of a verb where that is not the case, let me know down in the comments. All right, and then ellos no poder hablar español. They can't speak Spanish. Poder, yep, that's one of our example verbs. So ellos no pueden. No pueden because it's ellos. Ellos is the lower right hand, and so it's an en ending. Ellos no pueden hablar español. Mis amigos y yo recordar el evento. My friends and I remember the event. Since it says my friends and I, what do you think that means? We remember the event. Recordar means to remember, and it's recordamos. And remember, we have to remember, right? Recordar, recordamos. It's outside of the boot, so it doesn't get the spelling, the stem spelling change, or the spelling change in the stem of the verb. All right, so that is all I have for you guys. Hopefully that helps you understand boot verbs. Remember, the infinitive doesn't have the stem change, and neither does the nosotros form, and neither does the vosotros form. Querer, queremos, queréis. Quiero, quieres. Quiere, quieren. All right, hasta luego. Hasta la próxima. Oh, yeah, and I'll give you some homework to do too. I'll leave that down below in the comments. Gracias.